All right, Arvin and I are back this time to talk about Amazon reimbursements. So this, I guess, is a general kind of question to start us off. What are kind of some general types of reimbursements and why is this even a thing?
Well, there's a lot, there's a lot of reimbursement. I mean, most sellers don't know that Amazon actually owe them money.
Hmm,
Some of the things that I can share you, maybe I can just focus for like reimbursement that an FBA seller could get.
okay,
One is like anything that is in Amazon warehouse, maybe they lost it or they damaged it. So it's like the warehouse lost and damaged
sure.
reimbursement. There's also from inbound, like we're shipping it from your warehouse going to Amazon, and maybe some of them were received as damaged by the courier or maybe damaged by the warehouse and even lost units
Yeah,
during shipment. And then also there are some issues when it comes to FBA fees because you know that Amazon is automatically calculating the FBA fee based on the item dimension or rather the packaging dimension. But if Amazon has an incorrect dimension in their system, then they're incorrectly charging the customer or the seller a higher FBA fee.
mm,
So you need to get one that corrected. There are also some returns or replacements that Amazon customers are asking Amazon, but they fail to return it to FBA within a certain period of time, then therefore the seller is eligible to get a reimbursement. And there's a lot more. There's a referral fee. There's I don't want to
well, how
like
many total are there, would you say? Like roughly?
well
I know that there's kind of different numbers on that, but
for the FBA sellers, I mean, on my own practice, there's like around 12 to 16 reimbursement that you can get from Amazon.
gotcha.
It's just some of them are just not really worth doing.
Yeah. So just to kind of recap that first part there. So in general, as an Amazon FBA seller, when you send inventory into the Amazon warehouse, it's kind of a misconception for maybe newer Amazon sellers that Amazon's just going to take care of everything and not ever make any mistakes. But the reality is there are mistakes. And what happens are Amazon could potentially lose inventory. They're pretty good, but they do lose stuff, right? And that could be either when you're inbounding inventory, that could be when it's transferring between warehouses, that could be when a customer returns something to FBA.
Mhm.
Removal orders can be an issue. There's so many different kind of ways that there can be lost, damaged items. And Amazon oftentimes will reimburse some of those automatically, or they will go do an investigation without you prompting it and find that inventory, but not always, right? And that's where you as a seller have the ability to raise cases requesting reimbursements, right?
Yeah.
And there's some that are easier than others. Which ones would you kind of say are the easier ones? Whether that means when I say easy, I guess to me that means like easy to spot.
Yeah, I would say the warehouse lost and damaged. But to piggyback on what you said earlier, well, yeah, we know Amazon is big. We know like they have a really good system. But imagine how many transactions is like happening every day. How many order IDs do they need to process? How many shipments do they need to receive? And there's human error. Like people, like the people working in Amazon, maybe they receive they're doing something in wrong. Or maybe not. I don't want to say that some of them might be stealing it, but yeah, that's the reason why you really need to really monitor your inventory and really check if it is really tying up your accounting records or your inventory count. Yeah, so just going back to the question of Ben, the easiest way to find out is the warehouse lost and damaged.
Yeah. So in my experience, it's for me, I've always been the things that are easy to spot are normally the ones that you as a seller are easily going to identify and maybe work on, right? Because there's different levels of what you can do. Like sometimes I've talked to a lot of Amazon sellers where they're doing the bare minimum, which is like maybe inbound FBA shipments, because you can see those, right? When you're going into your shipment, what's the tab called? I don't even know. Manage
Lost
my
and
shipments,
manage the
manage
shipment.
shipments tab. You can see, oh, I sent 100 units. They're saying they only got 95. Okay, now I know, and you can file a case right there. So there's kind of those really visible ones, and then there's ones where it's like, oh, I have to download these reports out and manipulate and review the data. And those are the harder ones where either you as a seller need to invest time or outsource that to someone like our team and essentially get help doing that. What can sellers kind of expect numbers wise? Do you have like a rough sense of that?
Yeah, I mean,
Like how much is this actually worth to a seller?
that's a really good question. I did a statistics to like the number of clients that we're working with reimbursement, I would say it's about 1% of the total revenue.
Yeah.
That's how much you can collect from Amazon. Plus, if you haven't done reimbursement yet, you can work back after the last 18 months for the warehouse loss and damage. But for the loss inbound, you were given 6 months. It varies per
By the category,
yeah,
essentially.
different type of reimbursement. Yeah.
Yeah, so really depends on you as a seller, how long you've been selling. Have you ever done any reimbursement related work before?
Mhm.
But the expectation is about 1%. We've seen in some cases up to 3%.
Yeah.
So we normally say kind of between 1 and 3% of what you're doing on a monthly or annual revenue basis is what you can normally see is claimable in some kind of, or there's a discrepancy for. That being said, totally depends on the type of account, the type of product.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that go into that. So 1% kind of on the lower end. Anything else you want to add about reimbursements? I know there's a lot of pieces, but at the end of the day, if you want to get into any of the technical stuff, be my guest.
Well, actually, yeah, the challenging part about reimbursement is to actually challenge the process of Amazon. Like, so for example, the one that you said that is easy to detect is the lost inbound.
Sure.
But yeah, you have to provide Amazon like with a legit invoice or even a packing slip. Depends also for the types of sellers. Like there are sellers who are like reselling it. So you really need to provide Amazon an invoice that you bought it. Let's say, for example, you bought it from Walmart or Target, and you have to show in that receipt that you bought that item. Sometimes you have to even annotate the AC number on these
Yeah, to really call it out.
So just because again, working with seller support is as if you're talking to a 9-year-old. So you have to spoon feed them with all of the information that so that you don't need to have that back and forth communication. But then the other types of reimbursement is just really doing a lot of matching of different Amazon reports. You really need to find a way of automating it, or maybe create a system like your a software to automate the reconciliation. Or if you don't, then like what we're doing to a team, we're manually matching all of these reports from Amazon and see what has been returned, what has been automatically reimbursed by Amazon, and what is missing. Sometimes I even look at the buyer messages because, like, for example, a customer asked for a refund but they failed to return it. I have to check the communication between the buyer and the seller. If the seller said that, okay, I will issue you a refund, then it is not eligible for reimbursement. Only Amazon initiated refund is eligible for reimbursement if the customer failed to return it.
Gotcha. So yeah, you can get pretty granular with this if you want. I think one thing or a couple things I wanted to comment on. One is, we've worked with a couple sellers that have been either like the common one is if you're in the hazmat program and you're shipping inventory into Amazon on the hazmat program, they allow you to inbound to their hazmat warehouses. However, they never allow you to use an Amazon partner carrier. There's other, sometimes you might be making a shipment and decide not to use an Amazon partner carrier. Not my personal recommendation. I think you generally should try to use an Amazon partner carrier. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because in those instances, if inventory is lost from an inbound shipment and it's a non-partnered carrier, it's going to expect that it's going to be harder to get a reimbursement, because here's what's going to happen is you're going to say, hey, Amazon, I shipped 100 units with UPS on this, but it was a non-partnered carrier because they don't want to allow you to ship hazmat through them. That's kind of why I'm using that as a common one. What's going to happen is Amazon's going to be like, oh, well, it's not our fault.
Yeah.
You need to reach out to UPS. So it's pretty much a lost cause unless you insured that shipment.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, people are not insuring shipments. I mean, I don't know. Guess it really depends. But that's just one call out I would make. And obviously, we're talking about hazmat in that instance, but that's an argument for why you should always try to use a partnered carrier. Hazmat's not going to allow you to unless Amazon makes a change, but that's one call out. The other one I forgot we didn't really touch on, but you mentioned it at the beginning, and I want to circle back, which is another area where you should be monitoring, and then there are reimbursement opportunities, as Arvin pointed out, is if Amazon miscategorizes your product, puts it in a higher fee structure, and you're now getting overcharged on every single unit. And in those instances, first off, we recommend you should probably have some kind of alert software set up that detects when there's a change to Amazon, what dimensions they have on record, or the tier. And then essentially, if that does happen and you now are getting charged a higher amount per unit, you, and Arvin, you correct me if I'm wrong, you can first, you need to go fix that. So you need to request Amazon to do what, a bin,
Bin
is it a
check.
bin check?
Yeah.
Bin check to reweigh, remeasure. And then once you do that, then you're allowed to
Do a QB scan.
Cubiscan.
Mhm.
And then what can you do next?
Well, if let's say Amazon confirmed that yeah, we have an incorrect record, then they will issue a reimbursement. But if let's say you have to have like back and forth with Amazon, you have to provide them like photos of the product that this is the actual measurement of my item. You have to
Yeah.
put them, they give them a lot of evidences for them to acknowledge your request, because I mean this is just me talking, but when you're talking to seller support, they don't have access to the physical product, right? So you have to provide them all of this document that not unless they like talk to someone from their FBA team, but usually like when I talk to some of the team who used to work as a seller support, they said nah, they don't really work well together.
Mm.
So they're just like passing this and that and that, like making the decisions. You have to find a way to make sure that your claim will be approved.
But once you get the Amazon team to remeasure, reweigh,
Mhm.
then what you can do is go back and request a refund on any of the overcharged fees, right?
Even the remeasurement, it's just one else. Add this one. Even the remeasurement. Sometimes Amazon will reply to you, "Hey, this is actually the actual dimension," but actually they didn't remeasure it. They just
Mm.
replying to you again. You are contacting a seller support. They don't have access to the physical product. It's either they just reply to you with the current dimension and say, "Yeah, this is correct." So you have to really get back to them and say, "No, this is incorrect. This is the product. This is the item of my
Yeah.
product, or rather the dimension of my product."
Nice. All right. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into the reimbursement world, but that's just, I guess, kind of some high level stuff.
Yeah.
If you have comments, questions, let us know down below, and we'll try to either make another video or answer them on the next one. So anyway, that's all. Arvin, anything else?
Yep, that's it. I don't want to be too complicated.
Okay, sounds good. Cheers.